What is going on, guys, and welcome back to Touchdowns to Home Runs. My name is Bernie. Thank you for joining us today on the Touchdowns to Home Runs show. Hope that your day is going absolutely fantastic. And for the 19th time in his career, Novak Djokovic is a Grand Slam champion. This is his second French Open title of his career after defeating Stefanos Tsitsipas by a score of 6-7, 2-6, 6-3, 6-2, 6-4. A tremendous two-set down comeback in this match, the second for him of the tournament. We got a lot to break down today. And as we'll discuss later, also Novak now has to feel like he has a legit chance at winning the calendar slam. Should be the favorite in every single match, I think, that he plays from here on out for the rest of the year. And hopefully, there's no injuries and he's able to do so. But before we get into the breakdown, also a huge congratulations to Tsitsipas and really all of Greek tennis on a fantastic tournament. Obviously a finals appearance here, but also Sakkari as well in the women's semifinals, so had tremendous weeks. In terms of Tsitsipas, solely him, it was his best performance at a Grand Slam in his career. Obviously only 22 years old as well, so you gotta feel like he's gonna be here plenty of more times over the course of his career. But before we get down to discussing what I saw in today's match, let's go over each of these players' road to the finals and what they had to do over the course of the past couple of weeks. For Novak Djokovic, beat Sandgren in the first round, Cuevas in the second round, Berankis in the third, beat the young Italian. Again, he was down 2 sets in this one. The big comeback to win it in the 5th set against Musetti. Beat number 9, Berrettini, another Italian in the quarters, and then the huge 4-set victory over Rafael Nadal a couple of days ago. As for Tsitsipas, beat Chardy in the first round, Martinez in the second, the big serving John Isner, ranked number 31 in the third round, Pablo Carreno, Busta, tremendous clay court player, number 12 in the 4th round, Medvedev in the quarterfinals, and then of course the big 5-set victory over Zverev a couple of days ago as well. Let's go set by set and sort of what I saw. Obviously, it was a tremendous start from Tsitsipas, fought off 2 break points in his first service game. And it was really back and forth with some solid serving with both Tsitsipas and Djokovic. And then, he got broken later on in the set. Djokovic would end up going up 6-5. And then Tsitsipas, tremendous mentality. First Grand Slam finals, and he breaks Djokovic at a crucial point in the set, ends up forcing a tiebreaker. At this point, Djokovic sort of was making a lot of unforced errors, sort of uncharacteristic, allowed Tsitsipas to go up 5-2 in the breaker. Novak crawled all the way back to get even a set point, but on Tsitsipas's second set point, he ended up taking the first set 7-6. And the second set started it off with an early break. You could see some of the struggles for Novak sort of carrying into the set, and then had a really tough hold. So Tsitsipas was playing some tremendous tennis at this point. He would break at 4-2, go up a double break, ended up serving the second set 6-2. Tsitsipas at this point was beating Novak shot for shot. It was tremendous. His ground strokes were phenomenal. Novak Djokovic had to find a way to be able to push Tsitsipas back, and figure out ways to play a little more consistently. He was making a lot of unforced errors, but again, 2-set-to-love lead for Stefanos Tsitsipas. And then we saw the vintage Novak Djokovic up 2-1 in the second set, broke on the 5th breakpoint opportunity. Was a real swing point, I think, in this entire match. If Tsitsipas holds there, potentially a different outcome to this entire match. Tsitsipas had a good couple holds afterwards, put a bit of pressure on Novak Djokovic, but Novak ended up taking the set. At this point, Tsitsipas called out his trainer. Looked like he might have a bit of injury, but I think it was more just to get some work. And then, again, still all Djokovic in the 4th set, broke in the first game. We saw some poor errors from Tsitsipas early on. But Djokovic really increased his level, did a much better job of sort of hitting those deep shots, dominating the rallies. He was the aggressor. Tsitsipas had to play a lot of sort of defensive tennis. He wasn't able to come forward to the net, which is something that I think is basically Tsitsipas's best part of his game. Djokovic would break again and ended up taking the set 6-2. The 5th set was pretty interesting. There was the early break by Novak as well. I think it was at 2-1. And then pretty much held the rest of the time, ended up serving out the match at 5-4, and on the second championship point, ended up getting the job done. So overall, it was a very, very solid performance by Novak Djokovic. But let's start with what I saw particularly from Tsitsipas. I feel for him. I think a lot of this comes down to his mentality. The deeper that this got into the match, I think the more you started to feel like this was Novak's match to win, even when he was, let's say, down 2-1. But again, I've talked about it so much with Tsitsipas, the improvements that I think he's made. From what you saw 2 years ago, let's say, from him in comparison to what I think we saw over the course of these past 2 weeks. And it's honestly quite impressive. He's got a balanced game. He's got a tremendous serve. In the first set, I think he had like 8 aces. Or 7 aces, I think it was. So, his serve is there. His return game was pretty good, although he didn't get a break off Novak after the second set. But, he's right there. He's got a tremendous ground game. Obviously, he's super, super athletic. Can get to the Djokovic drop shots. He is right there. I think a slam for him is right around the corner at some point, maybe later on this year, potentially next year as well. As for Novak, it's impressive. You keep saying, obviously Novak is one of the best players ever, and you expect him to win matches. But here was super impressive because, again, for the second time in the tournament, he goes down 2-0 and was getting outplayed. And he had to make some serious adjustments in order to get back into this match against Tsitsipas. Again, the big one was his serve was tremendous. Not only getting a lot of free points, but he was the aggressor on a lot of the points. And again, didn't get broken after set 2, which was massive for him. But overall, super impressive week for Novak. Again, it's going to be a big thing for him moving on to Wimbledon. I want to see how he performs there. But, he's definitely creeping closer. Only 1 back of Federer and Nadal in the total Grand Slam count now. So we'll have to see if Novak can pull that off later on in this year. Now, looking forward, obviously, as I mentioned, I think it's only in like 2 weeks or so, is obviously Wimbledon, which should be very exciting. Hopefully, we get a healthy Roger Federer, who obviously pulled out of the French Open, but that's his best surface, and everything that he said in his press conferences and interviews has been that, he's trying to just play matches and practice in order to be good for potentially one last swing at this tournament. So it should be really exciting. In terms of Tsitsipas, he will be playing one more tournament before the next Grand Slam. He's scheduled to go to Germany actually tomorrow. He joined a tournament with a loaded field. Roger Federer's in it, Medvedev, Zverev, Rublev. So it should be a nice start for him on the grass. And as for Novak Djokovic, I don't think he has anything scheduled right now, but you would assume that he's the favorite in pretty much all of his matches, again, for the rest of the year. And I think the big thing for him, or the 2 storylines, first of all, can he get the calendar Grand Slam? Because I think this is the one that was really the most up in the air. And then also now 1 back of Nadal and Federer, so odds are looking like Novak Djokovic will end up passing him potentially at some point, maybe even later on this year, potentially next year as well. So a lot to be looking forward to. I thought that this was a tremendous tournament, great 2 weeks. I had a lot of fun watching. But let me know your thoughts, your comments on this particular match down in the comment section below. Maybe chuck in some Wimbledon predictions as well. All of that down in the comment section. But if you guys did enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a thumbs up. Subscribe to Touchdowns to Home Runs for more tennis content just like this. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.